Good morning students. Welcome to session 4 on fundamentals of Riemann integrals. So in this session we are going to study about some theorems. Let us take one theorem. If f belongs to R of a comma b and c is in between the interval a comma c, then f belongs to R of a comma c and f also belongs to R of c comma b, and also integration from a to b f of x dx is equals to integration from a to c f of x dx plus c to b f of x dx. So here it is given that f belongs to R of a comma b, so means f is bounded on a comma b, and here since c is in between a and b, so therefore here f is bounded on a comma c and also it is bounded on c comma b. It is bounded in these two intervals and also in these two intervals. So since here f is a Riemann integral, for a given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a partition P of a comma b such that this is the definition of a Riemann integral. So if f is a Riemann integral and there exists a partition P on a comma b, then it is UPF minus LPF is less than epsilon. This is the definition of a Riemann integral. Take this one as equation number 1. Now let P dash is equals to P union C. That is, here P dash is the combination of P and C, that is P is contained in P dash, because here we have an extra element, no? So it is P is subset of P dash. Then we have LPF. We know this LPF is less than LP dash F, because here P dash is contained in P. So we can take here LPF is less than LP dash F. And we know LPF is less than UPF. This we know. So it is less than UP1F. So it is less than UPF. So now, so UPF, UP dash F minus LP dash F. You take this one in this side. So here UP dash F minus LP dash F is less than or equals to, you take LPF in this side, it becomes UPF minus LPF. So but from equation number 1, UPF minus LPF is less than epsilon. So this is less than epsilon from equation number 1. Now let us take two partitions here. P1 and P2 denote the set of points of P dash on A comma C and C comma B. So P1 is a point of set of points on A comma C, and P2 is a set of points on C comma B respectively. Then P1 and P2 are partitions on A comma C and C comma B respectively, and we know here P dash is the union of P1 union P2. So now U P dash F. So here P dash is what? Here P dash is the union of P1 and P2. So U P dash F is equals to UP1F plus UP2F. Take this one as equation number 2. And L P dash F is LP1F plus LP2F. Take this one as equation number 3. So now equation 2 minus equation 3 goes. Subtract these two equations. So here first let us subtract RHS here. UP1F plus UP2F. UP1F plus UP2F minus LP1F minus LP2F. I have taken here directly like this. And LHS is like this here. UP dash F minus LP dash F. First I have taken LHS, then RHS. And I have here grouped the terms here, UPF and LPF. So we know UPF minus LPF, UP1F minus LP1F is less than epsilon, and UP2F minus LP2F is also less than epsilon from equation number 1. So for the partitions P1 on A comma C and P2 on C comma B, because here P1 and P2 are the partitions on A comma C and C comma B. Now since F is a Riemann integration A comma C and F is a Riemann integration of C comma B, now UP dash F is equals to UP1F plus UP2F, because here this is P1 and P2, P dash is equals to P1 union P2, and infimum of UP dash F is equals to infimum of UP1F plus infimum of UP2F. So we know here infimum of UPF is upper Riemann bond, this is upper Riemann integral a to b f of x dx is equals to infimum of UP1F is upper Riemann integral a to c here, because this is P1 is what here? P1 is the set which belongs to a comma c, so it is f of x dx. And infimum of UP2F is again upper Riemann integral, that is c to b f of x dx. So this implies here integration from a to b f of x dx is equals to integration from a to c f of x dx plus c to b f of x dx, because here So we know this, if f is Riemann integral on a comma b and f is Riemann integral on a comma c, and it is also Riemann integral from c comma b. So thus we have this proof. So take one note, if f is integrable on a comma b, then it is integrable on any subinterval of a comma c. Take one more theorem. If f belongs to R of a comma c and f belongs to R of c comma b, where c is in between a and b, then f belongs to R of a comma b. This is the converse of above theorem. There what we have here, there it was, if f belongs to R of a comma b and c is in between a and b, then we have proved this one, f belongs to R of a comma c and f belongs to R of c comma b. So let us prove this. Since what is given here, f belongs to R of a comma c and f belongs to R of c comma b. For a given epsilon greater than 0, there exist a partitions p1 on a comma c and p2 on c comma b, such that here u p1f minus l p1f is less than epsilon by 2 here. So it is, we know here Riemann integration means it satisfies this definition here. U p1f minus l p1f is less than epsilon. We can take epsilon by 2 also, because here it is also we can take epsilon by 2 also. So u p2f minus l p2f is also less than epsilon by 2. Take this one as equation number 2. So here if p is union of both p1 and p2, then p is the partition of a comma b, because here p1 is from a to c and p2 is from c to b. So combination of these two we can take here a to b it is. So upf minus lpf is equals to, upf minus lpf is equals to, we can take here p is the union of these two, no? So it is up1f plus up2f minus lpf is lp1f plus lp2f. Open this bracket. So it is up1f minus lp1f plus up2f minus lp2f. We know from equations 2 and 1 and 2, which is less than epsilon by 2, it is also less than epsilon by 2. So we can take this one as less than epsilon. So we know here upf minus lpf is less than epsilon. This implies here f is a Riemann integral, that is f belongs to R of a comma b. So take one more theorem. If f of x is continuous on a comma b, then f of x greater than or equals to 0 for all x belongs to a comma b, and integration from a to b f of x dx is equals to 0, then show that f of x is equals to 0. Let f of x is equals to 0, it is given, then theorem is obvious here. So if f of x is not equal to 0, then you have to prove this one here. And let if possible f of x not equals to 0 for some x is equals to c which belongs to a comma b. That is f of c is not equals to 0 and f of c is greater than 0. So let us choose here epsilon is equals to 1 by 2 into f of c. Since f is continuous, there exists delta greater than 0 such that mod of f of x minus f of c is less than epsilon, for mod x minus c is less than epsilon. And this implies here, if you open this mod, you know, if mod x is less than a, then it is in between minus epsilon to plus epsilon. This is if you open this mod, it becomes like this here. So it is in between. It is not mod, it is simply, it is like this here. So it is f of x minus c is greater than minus epsilon, less than plus epsilon. For x minus c here, again here also we can open this mod. So it becomes here mod x minus c is greater than minus delta, less than plus delta. So take f of c in this side, minus f of c becomes plus f of c. This implies here f of c minus epsilon is less than f of x, which is less than, take f of x c in this side, it becomes f of c plus epsilon. For again here also same thing here, take c in this side, it becomes c minus delta and c plus delta. X is in between c minus delta and c plus delta. Now we have to choose delta such that here, so it is we have here, so you have to choose delta such that what here, this is a c minus delta, it is greater than a, which is less than c, and it is less than c plus delta, it is less than b. That is you have to choose here, it is in between here, it is in between a and b, it is in between a and b. You have to choose c such that here it lies between a and b. Now consider integration from a to c f of x dx is equals to integration from a to c minus delta f of x dx plus c minus delta to c plus delta f of x dx and c plus delta to b f of x dx. That is in between here, it is again same a to b, we can write like this here. So This implies here integration from a to b f of x dx is greater than or equals to, because here it is sum of all these, no? It is sum of all these is equal. So therefore, if you take any one term, it is again definitely greater than or equals to integration from c minus b to c plus c minus delta to c plus delta, because here sum of these is equals to this one. So if you take only one term, this is definitely greater than here. So which is greater than c minus delta, integration from c minus delta to c plus delta 1 by 2 into f of c delta. So it is greater than 1 by 2 into 1 by, if this is greater than 1 by 2 into f of c is constant, integration of this one here, if you integrate this one, what will get here, this is equals to 1 by 2 into f of c is constant, integration of dx is x between c minus delta to c plus delta, that is here 1 by 2 f of c as it is. Substitute the limits here, first upper limit c plus delta minus lower limit c minus delta. So which is greater than here, which is greater than what here, if you open this bracket, what we have here, again so it is delta here, 2c, that is c minus c get cancelled, no? c get cancelled, delta plus delta is 2 delta, so 2 also get cancelled, it is only simply delta you will get here, delta into f of c, that is here you will get here what, 1 by 2 into f of c into 2 delta. 2 also get cancelled. It is simply delta into f of c is greater than 0. So that is integration from a to b f of x dx is greater than 0 here. So which contradicts the fact that integration from a to b f of x dx is equals to 0. So what we have taken here, if f of x dx is not equal to 0, then we got integration from a to b f of x dx is greater than 0. This is not possible, because here it is given that integration from a to b f of x dx is 0. So thus, hence our assumption that f of x not equal to 0 is wrong. It implies f of x is equals to 0. So this is about the proof. Thank you.